President Donald Trump made history last week as the first U.S. president to attend the annual March for Life.
Well, thank you very much, and thank you, Jeannie. It is my profound honor to be the first president in history to attend the March for Life. We're here for a very simple reason: to defend the right of every child, born and unborn, to fulfill their God-given potential.
In the historic speech, President Trump highlighted his pro-life achievements, pointed to the Democrats' extreme abortion agenda, and thanked the pro-life crowds for their life-affirming work for women in need. Tens of thousands of pro-lifers packed onto the Washington, D.C. National Mall to hear the speech before marching down Constitution Avenue to peacefully protest Roe v. Wade, the 1973 Supreme Court decision legalizing abortion nationwide. The 47th annual March for Life rally also featured speeches from House Minority Whip Steve Scalise, two pro-life female Democrats, Louisiana First Lady Donna Hutto-Edwards, and Louisiana State Senator Katrina Jackson, and Susan B. Anthony List President Marjorie Dannenfelser. Also on the morning of the March for Life, news broke that Dannenfelser will co-chair Pro-Life Voices for Trump National Advisory Board in 2020. The group, comprised of dozens of national and state pro-life leaders, aims to mobilize support for President Trump. And joining us now is Mallory Quigley, Vice President of Communications for the Susan B. Anthony List, the very pro-life group Dannenfelser leads. And we're also joined by Rachel Bovard, Senior Director of Policy at the Conservative Partnership Institute and a member of the newly formed Pro-Life Voices for Trump National Advisory Board. Thank you both for being here.
Thank you.
Okay, first off, historic March for Life last week. What are your thoughts on President Trump's speech, Rachel?
Well, I think what made it really meaningful was first that he was there, right? First president ever to address the March for Life. But I think the second thing is that it's been backed up by so much action. And this is something that I think pro-lifers really appreciate about President Trump, is just how amazing his administration has been on these issues. And it really separates him, I think, from a lot of Republicans who run on pro-life issues, but then the lack of follow-through, has been something we've noticed. For President Trump, this is a black and white issue. There is no gray, and he has taken it, I think, all the way through. We've seen more pro-life gains out of this administration than any, certainly in my lifetime, and I would say in the modern generation, he's been one of the best, if not the best.
Yes, I would totally agree with Rachel that he was greeted like a pro-life hero, because he is one. I mean, just look at the pro-life accomplishments that have come out of this administration, and he deserved every ounce of applause and cheers that he got on Friday. It was really exciting.
Well, let's take a listen to some of what President Trump had to say at the March for Life.
They are coming after me because I am fighting for you, and we are fighting for those who have no voice, and we will win because we know how to win.
How much can we expect to hear this kind of messaging in 2020 with President Trump really identifying himself as part of the pro-life movement? Mallory?
Yeah, I think that he's the leader of the pro-life movement in the White House, and he's going to continue to talk about this issue. He knows that it's something that not only his base voter support, but also this is an area for him to connect with on people that might disagree with him on other issues, immigration, healthcare. This is the common sense pro-life legislative priorities that have been put forward by the pro-life movement that the president's embraced and worked on are, 60, 70, 80% issues that a majority of Americans support. So it'll be no surprise to hear him continue to talk about this on the campaign trail. He's got a lot to talk about in terms of accomplishments, especially on conscience protections, like he was mentioning, and the Supreme Court. I mean, our opponents know what's at stake this election, and that's absolutely why they've come after the president in such a strong way.
Yeah, I do think it's important for him to make these points, and I think you'll continue to hear them in response to just how far the left has gone on this issue. And I think that's what makes this election so critical. You are literally seeing Democrats supporting infanticide. 44 Senate Democrats went to the Senate floor and voted against a bill that would have given care to a baby born alive after a botched abortion. We're not talking about, months of gestation at this point. We're talking about a baby born alive. And this is now a mainstream position for the left. I mean, they want to shout your abortion and they want to celebrate all these things. And so I think Trump is responding to the sea change, at least on the right, that people are stepping up and paying attention because these issues shake the earth for people who care about pro-life. They're seeing just how radical these leftists are, which makes what President Trump is doing so much more important.
And Mallory, it is your boss, Marjorie Dannenfelser, who is now co-chair of the recently announced Pro-Life Voices for Trump National Advisory Board. She held this role back in 2016. Explain how and why this advisory board was formed.
Right. Well, in 2016, we didn't have the record that we have now with the president. And so, the campaign came to Marjorie to say, we know that you can rally the pro-life grassroots. And she asked for commitments. And that's where we got that letter from then candidate Trump promising, to defund Planned Parenthood, to advance the Pain Capable bill, appoint pro-life Supreme Court justices, and to protect the Hyde Amendment. And that served as the working to-do list of this administration. Now we have all of the gains that have been made, and the job of the coalition is that much easier. But we took that letter door to door with our canvassing operation in 2016, and now we have the entire record of the administration to run on.
And Rachel, you were named a member of this pro-life advisory board. What's your message to pro-life Americans in 2020?
So I think two things, and the first is for younger women. There are articulate, empowered, intelligent pro-life women. The left loves to paint us as somehow just taking orders from someone or ill-informed, but no, we are passionate, we are knowledgeable, and we are pro-life. And second, I also think, just putting the stakes out there. Democrats are no longer the party of safe, legal, and rare abortion. They are the party of abortion on demand up until and after the moment of birth. In my home state of New York, has it on the books now. Right. You can have an abortion up until the moment and after of birth. This has never been a higher stakes issue. There are more pro-life millennials, I think, than any other generation. It's the generation I'm in. I'm an older millennial, but I'm still a millennial. And so I really want to speak to them and for them.
Also at Friday's historic March for Life was a video message from Vice President Mike Pence and his wife, Karen Pence, immediately after meeting Pope Francis. And this was actually taped at EWTN's Rome Bureau. And Vice President Pence then exclusively spoke with EWTN News after that message. Let's take a listen to the part of that interview.
For my wife and me to stand for life in the public square is a calling. It's a calling of our convictions. It's a calling of our faith. We think it's the most pressing moral issue of our time. And throughout our years in Congress and as a governor and now as vice president, I've sought to stand for the right to life and to stand with all of those who cherish the unborn.
The vice president is very familiar with the pro-life movement. What role does he play in upholding the pro-life agenda within the administration?
So I think Mike Pence has been a warrior on these issues for a very long time, and I think a lot of, evangelicals, conservative Catholics who weren't necessarily sure where President Trump was going to be on these issues because he was never a politician, he had no record. Mike Pence was a comfort to them because they were going to rely on his counsel. And I think now what we're seeing is we have not only one but two pro-life warriors in the White House. And I think that is of great comfort to those of us who really care about this issue. We have both of them fighting for life.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, the vice president, when he was in Congress, going after taxpayer funding for Planned Parenthood and the abortion industry, standing up for babies with Down syndrome as governor of Indiana, and I absolutely agree with Rachel. It's very clear, especially the president's been signaling that with his appearance at the march on Friday, that this is an issue that deeply motivates both of them.
The March for Life was a busy news day. I'd like to get both of your reactions to other major pro-life news that broke. The Trump administration announced Friday it will take action against the state of California for violating federal law by requiring employers cover abortion in their employee health care plans. The Department of Health and Human Services will withhold some federal funding if the state does not end the mandate. And the Trump administration also reversed an Obama-era decision by granting the state of Texas a Medicaid waiver to fund the Healthy Texas Women program, which does not include Planned Parenthood. Mallory, can you break this down for us? How significant is this, especially the news coming from HHS concerning California?
Well, absolutely. This is once again the administration signaling their strong pro-life views, their support for conscience rights. California has 30 days to respond to this decision. This is something that pro-life advocates have fought for a long time. It's a gross violation of conscience to force religious organizations, religious schools to fund abortion on demand in their healthcare plan. So very exciting news coming out of HHS regarding California.
A busy pro-life news week coming from the March for Life week. Thank you both for being here. Mallory Quigley, Vice President of Communications for the Susan B. Anthony List, and Rachel Bovard, Senior Director of Policy at the Conservative Partnership Institute.
Thank you.
Thanks.